pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the December meeting serves as the board's annual organizational meeting. In accordance with Board Policy 9321, I serve as the board chair for a very brief period of time, which is fine with me, until the board elects a chair. I need to appoint an acting secretary to assist with the process. I'd like to appoint Nim Wagner. Do you accept?
I accept.
Thank you. We will proceed with the election of officers. Nominations do not need a second according to Robert's Rules of Order. The floor is now open for nominations for Chair of the Waterford Board of Education. Are there any nominations for Chair of the Waterford Board of Education? Kathleen?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to nominate Jody Nisarchik to continue as our chair.
You accept that nomination?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are now closed. Seeing as there's one candidate, we'll do a voice vote. If you wish to cast your ballot for Jody Nisarchik for chair of the Waterford Board of Education, signify by saying aye. Not yet. I still have more instructions. The person must be elected by a majority of those present. We have 8 members present for this vote, so it will take 5 affirmative votes. So if you wish to cast your ballot for Jody Nisarchik for chair, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Vote carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you will proceed with the election for secretary.
Thank you.
And preside over the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, everybody. Now, can we have a motion to elect the secretary for this year? Is there any nominations? I nominate Lisa Barron. Okay. Lisa? Are there any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. Congratulations, Lisa. Thank you. Okay, we have a quorum, and Tom called the meeting to order. Now, introduction to visitors.
Full house tonight. Good to see our union presidents here, Martha and Pat from WSCP and WASA respectively. Many teachers here tonight to present, and certainly we have our recommended candidate for the high school position here tonight with his family, so we'll get to that piece in a little bit. And Laurel Deans, thank you. You snuck in. Good to have you, Laurel Deans, from the Para Union, and members of the hiring committee that assisted with the process of hiring our new high school principal here tonight as well in support of the candidate. So we welcome all visitors.
And thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's really cold. So thank you. Okay. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Okay. Now we're down to the consent agenda. We need a motion that the Waterford Board of Education accepts the consent agenda consisting of minutes of the November 15th regular meeting, December 7th, 2016 special meeting, monthly expenditure report for November 2016, and the food service monthly report for October 2016. Marcia, is there a second? Lisa? Is there any discussion or questions for Joe? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Did you have any correspondence?
None.
I don't either. Okay, now we're down to superintendent's report.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Great to see everybody on a full evening. There'll be no announcements tonight regarding weather, so get that out of the way early. But it's my privilege tonight to introduce part of our high school administration, Andre Hauser and Allison Moser. They're here tonight to talk about the progress made to date on the Positive Foundations and Care Team programs at the high school. It was a year ago, October, that they introduced the program to all of us at a Board of Ed meeting. Since that time, they've presented in a variety of forums around the state of Connecticut, including a presentation at the Connecticut Association of Schools, a presentation at the CAPS convention in November. They've been asked by CAS to come back and present on this same program at a statewide conference. It's something that I know they're proud of and something that we're all proud of. And they're here tonight to give us an update on that. So I will hand it off to Andre and Allison.
Thanks very much. Now, the presentation we did at the CADE conference was an hour and a half long. Instructive.
Thank you. And also, just so everybody knows, Tom was also part of that presentation, and all three of them did an excellent job. Kathleen and I were able to attend.
Oh, good, you got there.
Yeah, it was excellent.
So, we're fortunate to be in a school system where we've got a Board of Ed that really values the social emotional aspects of education, values meeting the needs of the whole child, not just the academic. And that has really given us the motivation and the ammunition to do some pretty novel stuff. Starting last school year, we restructured a lot of what we do, a lot of what we call intervention, so providing services to students beyond regular classroom instruction, and always focused primarily on academics. And that's very important. But we noticed that there really needs to be a little bit more of an emphasis on the social emotional side of student life. And so we created a few different structures. One is what we call the CARE team. CARE stands for Collaborative Accountability and Restorative Education. This is a group that really started looking in depth at the needs of students who weren't succeeding in the classroom. We started really focusing more in our disciplinary practices on what we call restorative practices. That's the idea that if a student does something wrong, there's usually an underlying reason for it, and there's always harm to someone in the community when a student misbehaves. So really focusing on helping them understand why they behave that way and what they can do to repair the damage has been a real positive change for us. We also created, and when I say we, it was really Allison who took the lead on identifying the need for this and planning for it, a program called Positive Foundations, which she's going to give some information on. And we started focusing on mental health training and support for our faculty. First of all, because sane people are better at keeping students sane, and also because the more we know about techniques for relieving anxiety and relieving stress in the classroom, the more we're able to do that at the lowest level when it's most effective. And then this year we created a new structure for our 9th and 10th graders. We got rid of old-style study halls with scientific and cafeteria approach, and we created what we call Study Academy, which allows us to deliver a lot of services for kids very quickly and very efficiently. And the reasons we decided to make these changes, I already mentioned, students struggling despite academic intervention. Social emotional issues, were interviewing with classroom success, and that was very often showing up as attendance issues. We were seeing an increased rate of anxiety diagnoses among students, and that's not a Waterford thing, that's a nationwide thing. The Connecticut Association of Schools has actually made this one of their targeted areas for programming this year. And if you subscribe to Time Magazine, in August they had a cover article, an in-depth exploration of the epidemic of anxiety disorders among teens in America. And we were starting to see students reporting themselves and teachers reporting seeing students with what was considered unhealthy levels of stress. So we knew there was a need.
So stress affects teens in a number of ways, physically, emotionally, but also they can attend academically. So their attention, their memory, their learning capacity is diminished when they're under stress. And kids reported feeling, 40% irritable, angry. When I showed this slide to kids, they thought these numbers were really low. And they reported that they're all stressed, they're all feeling these symptoms. And we looked, and this study was done in August. So this is like their resting, this is their baseline state. And then once we throw school into the mix, it makes them even more stressed, and we saw that effect at school. So we started this curriculum And teachers came in. I didn't do it alone. It was a group of teachers came in during the summer, and we based on CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. We based the curriculum on their core competencies. And self-awareness, really understanding how emotions affect you and how you control those emotions. And same thing with social awareness. So how emotions and things that you say affect other people. Trying to develop like a sense of empathy where in some cases it was lacking. We're seeing that affecting relationship skills and responsible decision making. So we focus activities on all of those competencies. And we have kids come, we have a boys group, girls group, and a stress management group. We separated the boys and girls because we found that they experience and deal with stress in different ways. And that it's been good. The first year we didn't do that. And the kids report liking the stuff that they do. The stress management group, this is a co-ed group. Then we have social support, and our anxiety and depression support group is run, that's kind of when kids actually have a diagnosis. So that's run more by our school psychologists and social workers. The other groups are run by teachers. So those groups meet, and they meet on a regular basis for half an hour. And we also have drop-in support. So kids who are feeling dysregulated during the day can go in, we call it the den room. We call it Positive Foundations of the First Year. Kids didn't love that name, but they like the den room. So they'll drop in, kind of get patched up, and be able to go back to class and go on with the day.
So we saw so much success with that last year, but it was a very small group. We could maybe serve the needs of 5 or 6 kids per instructional block. And we noticed that there was a real need for more support for more kids, just not at that intensive level. So again, Allison, who's a real sort of systems thinker, came to me last spring and said, I have an idea. It only involves shuffling around just about everything in the schedule, but I can't and I said, go ahead. And what she wanted to do, what we ended up doing was creating what we call Study Academy. We were finding that 9th and 10th graders in study halls, when our study halls were in the cafeteria, and when they were 70, 80, 90 kids, they didn't necessarily have the maturity or the knowledge or the skill set to use that time effectively. And we also found that with study halls scattered throughout the whole day, getting a kid who needed it into the Positive Foundations program, or getting a kid who needed any one of our academic interventions, like a math lab or a reading or writing lab, was very hit or miss. We weren't necessarily able to get everybody in when and where we needed them. So we came up with a system where we have more academic environment for our study halls. We have almost all of the 9th and 10th grade study halls. For everyone we can sit them for, meeting during our lunch block. Over the 2-week period, if you're a 9th or 10th grader with a study hall, it's most likely going to be in one of the 2 lunch blocks. There are a number of benefits to that. One is we've now created a freshman and sophomore lunch by default, which means more access to their own, similar-aged students. It also means we're not cutting academic classes in half to put that second lunch in the middle there. We're just using the study halls for that. And it's increasing availability for these what we call Tier 2 and 3 interventions for students who need them. Now, another nice piece of this is, now that these groups are small, they're in classes, they're averaging about 13 or 14 students per group. They have one teacher with them, but they also have a volunteer peer tutor who's a junior or a senior who's shown a lot of academic strength and has been trained in how to tutor. And some days they don't have much work to do. Some days they're overloaded, working with kids on, maybe there's a test coming up, or somebody needs help with a writing assignment, or something like that. And we find that those successful older students are great at helping them focus on executive functioning. How do you get organized? How do you manage your time? How do you prioritize your tasks? What does a student who studies well do when they're studying? And our hope is that by focusing on these skills in a much more effective way in 9th and 10th grade, we're not going to have to worry about them with our juniors and seniors. And we find all of these different interventions to meet at the same time as the study academy. Math, reading, writing, the social emotional support, which we've already mentioned, SAT prep, And then we also have a dedicated computer lab available with a teacher in it for anyone who needs to do, work on a written project.
Now, I just want to, the scheduling piece is challenging, and this trying to always like nuts and bolts and check everything and keep track of all the data. She also trains the peer mediators, and they're like, it's like student teaching for them. They're well trained as they go into those groups. And when the kids when the students in the study academy don't have work to do, the peer mediators will model what does good studying technique look like. And so these freshmen and sophomore students are seeing the older students doing the behaviors that we're hoping they'll do in study hall. We also couldn't do it with juniors and seniors because we thought it would be anarchy. We couldn't study hall, put them in small structured groups. So we're trying to hit, when you look at SRBI, we're trying to hit all the different tiers, and we've really added to the tier 1 with the study academy and with the drop-in, the positive foundation, the Zen room drop-in. We have the small group interventions for tier 2, and historically, one has just been great about how to do math and literacy interventions, but now we can offer the social emotional interventions as well. And then, like I said, the tier 3, those, when it comes to social and emotional, those interventions are done by the school psychologist and social worker. So we've seen some great benefits to this. We've seen kids feeling better about themselves, greater sense of purpose, more connectedness to the community. We're measuring that through attendance, whether it's coming to school at all or our tardiness rate. We have less student time out of class. It's funny, kind of an interesting relationship. We give them permission to walk out and go to the Zen room, and they're out of class left. And we're seeing more pro-social behavior, so better relationships. A lot of that is with restorative practices that focus on relationships in the school, whether it's student to student or teacher to student, but really making that a central thing that we're doing systemically. And then we also see improved academic performance through grades.
Yes, our first quarter freshman grades this year are better than we've seen in my time here. So there's got to be something to, what changes this year, creating a more structured academic environment for them, has shown, to benefit all the rest. Does that have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Amber? So is this open to all students or just students who are on a 504 or an IEP or identified as having?
The selection process is primarily student self-selected. Okay. They don't have to be on 504, and it's open to anyone. We do have some students who've been referred by either their parents or teachers. Teachers can refer to the primary cares and have a student placed in the program.
Okay. Greg?
Well, I know we don't have any baseline for these percentages that you started out with, but I look at the 5 core competencies, and I remember, I think it was 3-4 years ago, one of the first questions I think I asked you was about the bring your own device to school, and my concern was with these cell phones and electronic communication, we're moving away from person-to-person contact, eye-to-eye contact, talking to people directly. And I just wonder if you have any second thoughts about that.
Well, I think that the world is moving towards a much more digitally involved world. And the benefits we found in having students be able to use their devices in school for learning purposes outweigh the minuses. There are minuses, though. You do see sometimes you get kids sitting in the cafeteria and just totally engrossed in that screen. On the other hand, sometimes you see those kids who have no one to sit with in the cafeteria are engrossed in that screen. And one of the things we are trying to do through some other avenues is to work on what we call good digital citizenship. How do you and when do you use this technology? How should you not be using it? When should you not be using it? And actually, one of the things with the social skills group that Allison has mentioned, that whole digital piece, how do we use these as tools and not as a device to escape or a device to do harmful things to other kids with, is part of that. It's an ongoing conversation.
I can't tell you how many times I've been out to eat and I've seen young couples sitting there, both with their cell phones, not engaging each other, playing with their cell phones. And I have to wonder whether we're kidding ourselves. I wonder if it's really working.
Well, one thing I can tell you about our cafeteria is very often if you walk through at lunchtime, you will see a table of kids out and sitting, and many of them will have a cell phone out. And very often what you end up seeing is rather than somebody just sinking into the world of their phone, they're looking at something and then they're immediately sharing it with the person next to them, and it's just a way for them to engage with their peers who are there and who aren't there. And sometimes it's an unfortunate distraction. Sometimes it's just, that is the way that youth today interact with technology. They don't necessarily see the divide.
You don't see that as a crutch.
The virtual world and the 3D world that all of us old people do.
Hey.
He did. He included himself. Jody, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Lily.
My question is, first of all, congratulations. It was very well received, and I can see why. I have questions about staffing. Who staffs the Zen room all day?
That's a good question. We've had some staffing issues with that. We have a woman who, well, first of all, we rotate, so it's not the same person all day. We were supposed to have a school psychology intern for dinner. That didn't work out due to some health reasons. So we piecemeal, we have counselors rotate, and we also have a woman who's a paraprofessional who helps out in there as well. And she has a background in art therapy, so it's very helpful. And the dinner is filled with, we have exercise balls, but we also have adult coloring books and things of that sort. And she's great.
And then on the study hall, you know, when you had 70 to 80 kids, you probably staffed it with fewer teachers. When you divide kids into small groups for study halls, how did that impact your study hall teachers?
Well, one thing we're not doing is running study halls of that size as many blocks now. So we were able to have some of those that way. And before, where we were trying to run each of our academic interventions every block. Well, that's
you can't do that.
A writing one, a reading one, and a math one. We were never able to fully staff that and had people spread all over the place. What we've done is we've condensed them
into one
block. Into one block.
And it's considered a duty period.
And it's considered a duty period. And they're essentially going to have that first task of the study academy, but then they're also, if there's nobody in the room, they're providing an intervention.
Right.
So that has been really the biggest roadblock for us, has been the staffing piece.
And one of the things, we took no teachers that are coming to one student anymore. So we try to get down there as often as we can. We kept getting monitors and there's 30 people. But we used to have teachers who would be assigned to staff here, and it seems like this is a much better use of the
Kathleen, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've seen the in-depth presentation and I've heard it several times, and I just want to go on the record as saying how at the CAVE conference that we heard throughout, and Jody and I heard all of the districts are really interested in what Waterford is doing in this regard, and so I think it can not only benefit our students here in Waterford, but can have an effect throughout the state as it grows and as it continues. But I'm just concerned, and I don't think I asked this before, could you just comment briefly about the training that we do for the teachers?
Well, we have a lead teacher, Jay Collins, who got a degree in positive psychology recently. And so she's trained to train people. And a lot of this is based on positive psychology. So we've really shifted from using psychology to look at what's wrong with people and trying to make them a little bit better, and we're focusing more on what's right with people and accentuating the positive, accentuating people's strengths. So Jay's the lead person on that, and she's trained the other people who do the social and emotional interventions, and she's the one who does the mental health minute with the faculty, and she does meditation Mondays with the faculty and some yoga and stuff as well.
You might recall from the PD staff-wide in August, middle school and high school had a workshop with Dr. Howe from Yale on childhood trauma. It's all tied together.
He provided us with some literature as well, some books that we can use.
I think it's a fantastic program. Is it mostly geared towards high school students, or would it be beneficial to the middle school as well?
This program is what we're doing at the high school. I know that Jim and his staff at the middle school are doing a lot of really good things there as well, but I've handled it like I've experienced.
There are positive mental health approaches like this, K-12.
Okay.
Amanda?
So you now have the academic study hall, study academy, and then just the regular, like how does that work
No,
now?
we no longer have what we call an academic
You don't.
study hall. That used to be, if you weren't being successful in classes, we then pulled you from the regular study hall and put you into what we call academic study hall, and students thought it punitive. You know, you were only there because. Whereas if we say, okay, all my 10th graders could use help with study skills and organization, who can argue that?
Right.
And if it's everyone, it's not punitive, it's just what we do to educate you. And we found that there's much better buy-in to this approach, even though it hits everyone, than there was to an approach that singled out the ones who were struggling.
You're really helping the students succeed because with their study skills, if they can hone in on those and do better, I mean, they all need that.
And the feedback we've gotten, both from kids and from parents, is that they get that. And that this has been a change that's been appreciated.
And organizational skills, that's really good. We all need that.
Yeah, that executive function.
Anybody else? Kathleen?
Just ask you, what do you think your next steps will be? Do you have plans to enhance the program in any way, or is there something that you think we should know about?
Do you need anything?
Well, we're always fine-tuning. This is the first year of the study academy, and the positive foundation was evolved going into this year. And we're always looking at, what are the pieces that work for it, what are the pieces that we'd like to do a little bit better next time. And we keep tweaking it throughout the year, and then in the summer, we'll most likely get a group of teachers who've been involved in the program together and ask, okay, what worked, what didn't work as well as we like, and what would we like to do differently to make sure we reach our goals more successfully.
Thank you.
Excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And yes, there's more. I heard from Quaker Hill tonight about some STEM activities going on at Quaker Hill that they're setting up. There's great STEM activities going on in all of our schools, K-12. You heard about Invention Convention last year going on over at Great Neck. That's also a program Oswegatchie participates in. So there's great STEM activities going on during the school day, after the school day, in many co-curricular ways. But I'd like to introduce Chris Discordia, principal of Quaker Hill tonight, who will introduce his team.
So really excited tonight to share with you some of the STEM initiatives we're doing at Quaker Hill School. I want to introduce some teachers from Quaker Hill who are also passionate about this and have really taken a leadership role in implementing it with our kids. We have Sarah Egan, 5th grade, Danielle Smith, 3rd grade, Kathleen Donahue, 4th grade, Whitney Wadecki, 1st grade, and Robert McKinney, who is our elementary tech coordinator. So thanks for coming out tonight. I've always been intrigued with the idea of STEM, which is combining science, technology, engineering, and math together. Really makes some really neat real-world applications for kids to learn on their own, to work together, create some really cool things. So I kind of tasked some of my teachers with helping me to research and implement this idea with as many students as we can. So we've been in the midst of doing that. We want to share some of their innovative ideas, and then also we have some clips of the kids actually doing some of this stuff too. So thank you very much.
So STEM is actually science. It stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And what it does is it's a curriculum-based idea that integrates all of them together in a real-world problem that the students can apply the scientific method across the board. And according to the U.S. Department of Education, fewer and fewer kids are actually going into STEM-related fields, which is sort of alarming since there is going to be a huge need for STEM, which we thought as an elementary school we really need to focus our efforts at that level to kind of keep their interest.
So we were able to attend a conference at the Connecticut Science Center, and there were various sessions we could go to. We took a list of some of them. And one of the ones that I attended was how to start a STEM club with little to no money. And from that, I was able to participate in an inquiry experiment, and then that's actually what we decided to do in our own STEM lab at Baker Hill. And then why STEM now? Why is it important? And as Sarah was saying, jobs are in this field. So we're preparing elementary kids for the science, engineering, technology. We're preparing them to be successful in the future. So just some statistics, 8.65 million workers in STEM-related jobs by 2018. That's amazing to think of. And cloud computing, that's a profession that wasn't around just 10 years ago, and now it's going to be a big field for students to go into.
What is cloud computing?
It's a type of
Yeah, so that's like writing code.
Oh gosh.
No,
I know. You're way ahead of us.
So some of the immediate benefits that reviewers to come in and see our performing STEM activities is really the teacher becomes a facilitator and takes that step back and lets the kids work through the problem, do the problem solving, have to figure out what to do if something doesn't work out the way that they originally thought it would do. It uses a different modality of learning, so it's not just paper, pencil, or oral. They're creating things, they're changing, they're using the math and the technology all together. It's tied to multiple parts of the curriculum and tied into the actually use the real world situation in it. So we came back to a conference, we all met together, and we decided as a team that we thought it would be awesome to share this with our whole school, not just in our classroom. And we came together and we decided to have a STEM day, tried out with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, which actually equals about 190 students. So we took them through one day, and each grade had a different time slot. We worked as the facilitators because we don't want to overwhelm teachers with another new thing, and I don't know how to do this. So we kind of took that leadership role through that, and they had an actual challenge which involved this ramp. Their challenge was that they had to create a vehicle that was using the items that are in the bag that we pass around. And the only requirement, their challenge was to get down the track as fast as it could. And the restrictions were that everything in the track that was 4 inches wide and 8 inches long. So that's all we told the kids, and then we just let them go.
20 minutes.
And it was hard. We as a teacher were not going to go so it's interesting to take a step back.
One of the winners was right here. We actually interviewed these girls. The car they made. 2 4th grade girls, Adeline and Avery right there. So it was interesting to see how they approached it. Actually, one of the fastest groups just took the masking tape and put 2 spokes in it and rolled it down. Just kind of think outside the box. I can try to use needle those flyers.
With a few that persevered through their challenges, we didn't help them at all. So they had to deal with it with all the 190 prisoners and no arguments, no behavior problems. They're all engaged. It was pretty amazing to see.
This is Adeline and Avery.
So tell me how you survived your life.
Well, we thought of the idea of using like a rectangle. So we tore the paper so that it would fit in between our wheels. And then we added tape on the outside and the wheels so that it would come
Is this challenging for you?
We'll let you see them shoot us down the ramp here.
Wow.
Not a lot of students were successful. There are only a couple of students per grade that got it completely down the ramp. But nobody was upset about that. They were then talking to me, how did you do that? I was seeing my model by doing this. So they were really reflective and, you know, they're so engaged in learning to keep going with it.
Just ask practice to get home the homework.
I think it's great to see so many girls involved in it too, because when I grew up, engineering was just strictly a male profession, and I think it's great. And they have really good ideas.
Kind of the second piece is the robotics piece and the coding, and I'll throw it to Whitney and Robin, who they've been this fall presenting at nationwide conference on educational technology for elementary students. Really, it's a credit to our district to have such talented people. So let's take it away.
So kind of just wanted to talk and thinking about coding and robotics and stuff. I just want to sort of give you a history of where we've been and where we're kind of going. We started a couple of years ago in 2014 with our first ever day of code where every single kid at Quaker Hill coded for an hour. Very exciting at the time. We thought it was like the most amazing thing. But then the next year, and that was the year we got the $10,000 grant and we got iPad, which kind of launched us even further into our technology journey. Then last year we did Hour of Code again, and we tried to beef it up a little bit. We had a little bit more challenging activities. And last year, sort of the follow-up, we got every student into their own code.org account so that they could track their progress, and coding became sort of a regular part of our computer lab instruction. And then we had the Commission of Payments and did the certification of this, and that was all very, very exciting for us. And we've been doing a coding club with the really little kids for 2 years. You know, you can't continue that, but if you think about it, the kindergarten and first graders, they go to coding club. Super cool. So this year we decided we really have to step this up a little bit more, because this is our third year. You know, our kids have been coding for a while, and we didn't want them to feel like, whatever. So we gave them more choices in what they could do for coding, because as Hour of Code has progressed, they've given us more opportunities. And we also introduced that to our fifth graders prior to the Hour of Code. And that's a coding language that was developed by MIT, and it's a very powerful coding language. And I'm very excited that our kids are using it, and we have kids who are down here very basic, and kids who are just like taking off with it. So we also started into using robots this year and connecting the physical coding on the computer to action in the real world. So that's kind of our history. We have this clip for you because we just thought this was like the greatest thing ever. We're in the middle of code, and we look over and there's this kid sitting there, and he's not using blocks, which is the foundational piece of coding for our little kids, is these blocks that give them directions. He's writing actual code, and upon closer inspection, you realize he's writing in Python, which is a language you would typically see in high school and also in college for engineering students. So like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that's kind of how it's set up. A lot of these things that are out there in code.org and Tinker, which are the resources we're giving our kids, allow kids to progress through very simple block coding to more advanced languages like Java and Python. And this child, independently, he was ready for that. He was going to take that risk and go forward and try it. And he did. It's pretty cool.
So I just asked him to explain it in just a short clip here.
Right. This one, you have to move the avatar to get all these gems, and then you have to move him to get all the gems, and then once you collect all the gems, it finishes the level. But like there's a certain way that you have to do it.
Typing in the command. So he's writing.
I'm doing 0 down because He's moving right, and he's going down here. We're going to go up and right.
So then he types in all the commands and he realizes that he didn't do it right. So he doesn't sit there and cry.
I want to see what that does because I don't know if you would keep that to go up twice.
So what are you gonna have to do now?
So I need to add another up here. Alright, wait. That should work now because I kind of rearranged it.
Here, Robert.
What numbers did you add?
Wow.
That was one of the ones that Robert and I looked at each other like, oh my God, you're doing it.
So we really feel like we start them really little with the blocks. They're so used to the idea of it that by the time they get to this level, it's just like, it's the way that they're thinking, and they don't mind making those mistakes. They're comfortable with it.
Having visited the new high school coding class that the board added this year, they do use Python.
Yeah.
So.
So one of the reasons why we are really interested in robots and coding in our school is because it teaches these kids life skills that they don't get from reading and reading. It teaches them perseverance, it teaches them divergent thinking, computational thinking. It really makes them think outside the box and think about, if I'm handed this task, how am I going to solve this task? There's no right answer. It's about the process and the way you get there. So we really enjoy being able to teach our kids using code and the robots, and there's also national technology standards that include coding as well. So we had a part 1 robots day today with our 8th through 2 friends, and they had we had 2 different stations set up. We had station downstairs and a station upstairs, and we got to play with some of these cool robots that will walk around and show you. They like to talk, so if you want to turn them on, and they will kind of roll away. But, so upstairs we had a station challenge. And they had to program the robot to make certain sounds. So they were trying to design an elephant, they could use Legos and pictures. As you see, kids don't even know that you're just taking a video of them. They're so into
How do you turn it off?
And then downstairs we also had different stories for some of the robots that are scientists for us.
How'd it go? You know what you have that
Upstairs, these crazy robots were talking about the storm. We again, Whitney and I have been bringing the robots out a lot because it's coming to the lab. They use them in our code, and they've been really exploring them, which we think is foundational to their learning, having that exploration time. But we want to step it up a notch. So we had challenges, and every group was given raw materials, Legos, construction paper, scissors, and a sound card that they were supposed to keep secret from everybody else, and they had to create something and then see if other people could guess what it was. So they had time to build and create, and then they could use the iPad to code. So if somebody had built an elephant, then on the iPad, using the blocky code which is associated with these robots, they would write a program to make it move and speak like an elephant, so that, it's fun for across the floor, it's fun to make an elephant noise, and people could guess that it's an elephant or not. And again, this was the RCTA, Social CPA West for us, and that's why we had enough use of a great activity there.
So what are you guys making?
We're making an elephant. And we're going to make it so these Legos are gray and so we're going to put them on here and here. And we're also going to do some sections for it. And he's going to have a big meal, and he's going to be having ears like those monsters. And
How are you programming it?
we're programming it with this here. We're doing the coding.
Okay. So how do you make it make sounds?
Well, you click on sound right here.
Yep.
You click on this. You're gonna press what you want, like, well, what is needed. So say the same dot, so you press on dot. And you'll go to the tab that you want. Like if you want open. So it'll make that open when you go to the arrow that's facing that way. If it's like that, you got it. Just move it over there. If you make too many, you don't want them just throw in the way.
Okay. And can you run your program to see if it works? Does it work?
Yeah. Now it comes started.
The third one.
Great job.
I'm private.
So what are you going to do?
That was a started at Quaker Hill School. So, this is two of my students, and so this is exactly what Lockley language looks like. So this is where they start in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. This is the first that they're putting together to build their code, and then as they advance to fifth grade, as you saw the students typing that icon, so that's where they progress. So they can see the different parts that they have to put together, and then they eventually will type it. So these girls had dash and dot, so they paired them both to the iPad so they could program them both at the same time. So it was really cool. So they like to make things go as fast as they can. So in the video, you'll see it stop, and they kind of like full stack it just going so super fast. And of course, they love this color purple. So they're picking all of these different things for them to do. Then they wanted them to turn left and then go forward again really fast so that he would use dot. And then when dot and dash got together, they wanted them then to have a conversation. So they figured out how to record their voices so that they can make the robots talk to each other. So
The second grade.
this is first grade.
First grade. Oh, wow.
And so you saw the kids shake the little robot, and so they had started the start trigger for that was when you shake stop, it's going to start that scene of command. So they had two different start commands that they used too. So.
Just for next steps for this, we did an ed camp about STEM in our building the other day during CLC time, and so we gave the teachers a couple other tasks similar to this one. We gave them, they had a couple different jobs to do. They had to make a parachute, and they had to make, what's that thing called? Rube Goldberg. It's like a mousetrap, that game. They had to create something like that. So we want to give teachers an opportunity to learn about it, and then also do more STEM labs where it's just you bring your kids there, it's all ready to go, and we can get a lot of kids through some of these tasks. We want to do more STEM labs and then include more robotics throughout the day. So that's our presentation.
Any questions or comments?
I work with I'm a software engineer. I mean, software is also about problem solving.
Thank you very much.
Proud of the work.
Yeah.
So,
Very well done.
you can see the great work going on at all levels, K-12. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. It really is.
Oh, yes, I didn't forget my
Sometimes.
we didn't have to do it.
I tried.
Thank you, it's great.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
I know. Oh, we probably were holding it down.
So, a couple other quick announcements. We thank Oxfagachi for the artwork and student work in the conference room and in the hallway. Always appreciate it. It's always the highlight of my week when parents venture up with their children after school and they're proud of their work and are showing their parents, so we thank Oxfagachi for the great work. A quick budget update. Craig, Joe, and myself met with all principals and directors, supervisors this week about their budget requests. It was really the first step in what's a long process. We'll continue to refine those requests over the next couple of weeks and anticipate a finance subcommittee in early January to share a first look as to where we are. Waterford High School hosted a statewide MAD holiday. MAD stands for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We were one of 3 statewide sites to kick off their holiday awareness campaign, and that was culminated with a student assembly where one of our students spoke to the entire student body about making good choices. There was a press event. Mr. Hauser spoke. Representatives from MAD were obviously in attendance. We had a victim speaker who happened to be someone from the Waterford community, Highway Safety Commission people. It was a big deal, and they view us as a great partner, and they want to come back in April and do another statewide awareness event. So we thank the high school for making that happen on relatively short notice also. I had the opportunity to present last Thursday morning at the Learn Board of Directors at the invitation of Dr. Howley. I was able to highlight some of the great work going on in the district, and very well received, and received some outreach from other districts already about some of the things that we're doing. The Learn Board of Directors is made up of Board of Ed members from all the area towns, so it's a great audience. Just a quick update on assessments. You might recall that in grades 5, 8, and 10, we are still giving a science assessment, I'll call it, from the old system. We got word yesterday through a memo from the State Department of Education where science assessments are heading over the next couple of years. This year in grades 5 and 8, we'll continue to give the science CMT assessment. That will be the same for next year. It won't be until 2018-19 that we see a shift to the next generation science standards assessment. High school will see different changes. We will give the CAT science exam assessment in grade 10 this year. There will be no science assessment next year in high school, and it will be shifted to grade 11 in 2018-19 with the next generation science assessment. So no students will get out of it by skipping next year and moving into grade 11. They catch them the following year. So lest our students think they escape. They don't. But we just got word of that yesterday, and we'll keep you up to date on that. My second to last item is really to call your attention to a new publication. This is going to be distributed widely, both digitally and in print. It's a publication we're calling The Connection, and it's really news and happenings about the Waterford Public Schools. This will be digitally communicated to all families via our internal means here in the school district, and be distributed externally around town in print in town offices and other areas of note where people who may not have children in our school system are aware of the great things that we're doing. I want to thank Caroline for all the digital content layout and compiling of the information. Has really done a nice job, and we're excited. So this will go to print early next week and distributed next week as well. So it's we're excited about it, and we thank our schools for providing much of the content in it. So hope the community enjoys it.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'd just like to compliment you on this because I know over the years we've heard, particularly with our senior citizen population, this will be great. So you'll have copies in the community center?
We sure will.
Thank you.
I already spoke with First Selectman Mr. Stewart, and was very supportive of us having it in town offices.
It goes right along with that goal that we established on doing more communication and getting out. So I'm very, very impressed.
And I'm very happy we're doing this too, so the whole town can know the great things you're doing.
My last item is just to wish our community, our folks here tonight, and certainly the board, a safe, happy, and healthy holiday season. See some eventful weather over the next couple weeks, I'm sure, but I want to just wish everybody good wishes over the next month.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now we're down to committee and other reports. Does anybody have any committee reports? Kathleen?
Just very quickly, the Atlantic Broadband we met, and I think I had alluded to it in the last meeting, but there will be a committee to look at offering competitive grants to the schools, so I'll keep you updated on that as we go forward. There'll be small grants, but it's
every little bit helps.
back on the agenda.
That's great, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I have a Youth Service Bureau report. They're very busy now because Christmas is here, and tomorrow we're going to have a giant gift wrapping party. So we're going to be wrapping all the gifts that everybody in town, all of our teachers and some students and the community at large have donated for our families, for some of the families in Waterford that need a little extra help this year. Also, we had a school building committee meeting the other night, and our new chairperson is here, Rich Muckle. He's also on the RTM. And the high school project's coming pretty much to a close. The only thing we have left is the rain garden. Is that what it's called, Jay? The rain garden outside, but we can't really do, Jay can't really do much about that until the springtime. Right now, you won't be able to plant anything, so it's frozen. But I just wanted to also thank Jay and his crew, though, for fixing a lot of the things and making sure that everything's getting done over there. And we should be able to close up. We still have a pretty healthy balance in the budget. And I guess that's it for committee and other reports. So now we're down to new business. Discussion and possible action regarding the proposed candidate, which is Mr. Kirk Samuelson, as the high school assistant principal.
If you want to make a motion in second, I can do it during discussion, or I can talk now.
Okay, so somebody would like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approves Mr. Kirk Samuelson as assistant principal of Waterford High School effective March 1st, 2017.
I would be honored to make that motion.
And
I'll second that.
we have 2 seconds and we can only Okay. The committee did a good job. Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes, there is. If your permission, in case somebody else wanted to jump in.
Of course.
I wanted to, obviously the board's been aware of the process, but for members of the public, I wanted to just give a little background on the process and a little background on Mr. Samuelson. I know he will attest that this was a extremely rigorous process. This
Sorry.
was a process consisting of 3 rounds of interviews that included folks at the school levels all the way up through central office and obviously met with the board. We put our candidates through 2 performance tasks, including data and knowledge of instructional strategies. There were 70 applicants for this position. Round 1, we interviewed 23 people. Round 2, 7. Round 3, 4. And 1 finalist consistently rose above the rest throughout that process. And you see that's the candidate here tonight. Many stakeholders involved in the process. Obviously, high school administration, Waterford High School teachers served on the committee, Waterford High School non-certified staff members. We had 2 student representatives on the second round committee, one of whom is here tonight. Thank you, Rebecca. And I could not be prouder of our students on this committee. I would venture to say it's not typical to have students on a hiring committee. I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. Certainly the 2 students that were on the committee, Rebecca and Liam, represented our student body very well. We had parents involved, central office administration, obviously, our entire administrative team from the district, and obviously the board. Nim Wagner serving on the early rounds, so we thank her for that time. Let me talk about the finalists, because that's who we're here to celebrate and welcome to the district tonight. As Chair Nazarczyk mentioned, his name is Kirk Samuelson. He's currently the K-12 Science Curricular Leader for the Madison Public Schools. Previous to that, he served 3 years as the Science and Health Program Coordinator at Daniel Hand High School, equivalent to a department chair or department head, maybe a term you're familiar with. Prior to that, 8 years in the Guilford Public Schools as a biology teacher, and prior to that, a career in restaurant management and operations, which he referenced during his interviews as an important skill set to be an administrator.
It is.
We've all been in restaurants with difficult customers, so we know that. Some highlights, not meant to be all-inclusive at all, but some recent highlights from his time in Madison. He supervises and evaluates a department of 17 teachers responsible for leading that department, including hiring and evaluating staff and budgetary oversight. He has led curriculum and instructional redesign efforts, planned and led professional development opportunities for teachers, chaired a committee on the development of e-portfolios, electronic portfolios for student work. He has served on the school's International Baccalaureate Exploratory Committee, NEASC Mission and Expectations Committee, NEASC Follow-Up Committee. I'm almost done. He's recognized as a leader not only in his school but also the district, as evidenced by his promotion to a special assignment this year, serving as the K-12 science curricular leader, leading the redesign of science across the district. I'd like to, bear with me, share a few comments from some things that his references had to say. We spoke with his superintendent, his assistant superintendent, the principal of Daniel Hand High School, including 2 assistant principals, and these are just a few of the comments that were made by folks in that deep background check. Sharp thinker, ambitious, exercises great common sense, professional, knows curriculum and instruction, a great demeanor, tremendous respect from his colleagues. We will miss his vast experience in Madison. He's a most accomplished teacher. Professional, personable, high character. What I like about Kirk is that he's all about kids. Treats all with respect. He has raised the level of our leadership team. He has intriguing, perceptive input. I'm sure his family's saying, this is Dad. Very reflective educator. The principal said, one of the best hires of my career. Outstanding teacher and school leader. A go-to staff member for our administration. Willing to take on new tasks. Continually looking to grow professionally. Effectively builds rapport with kids and adults. In tough situations, he remains calm and respectful. He genuinely cares about kids. And I don't think there's any greater compliment than that, and I think that is something that the committee saw. I know we're going to let Kirk speak, but I didn't know. I know, Min, you were involved in the early rounds, certainly Craig and others.
First of all, I'm so excited. I was sick last week for your interview, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because we didn't know. A lot of the committee was, after each level, we weren't sure of the name, and actually I don't think the teachers on the committee, if they didn't show up tonight, know. So you were a great secret, and I'm just so proud that every level in the process you came to the top. So I think that's been the trust in the process, and we'll get the best person, and I certainly think you were the best person, and I trusted in the process.
Thank you. Thank you. Kirk, the floor is yours.
Okay,
hold on.
We have a first and a second. Oh, we do, yeah. Okay. All those,
Gee, that's just a little.
Okay, well, all those in favor of hiring Kirk Samuelson as our assistant principal at Waterford High School, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Congratulations and welcome to
Thank you for braving the cold. I promise come March 1st I'll bring a more warming present to the Waterford school system. First I want to thank Tom Giard, Greg Powers, Andre Hauser, the entire district-wide leadership team, all the Board of Ed members, the students, and everybody else who served on the interview committees, and certainly all the community members who really selflessly dedicated their time and effort to this very, very extensive process. How I've written to this before. I want to thank my family who's here with me tonight, obviously my mother Joan, my wife Brooke, my 2 children Cole and Kate. I think it would be important to extend a thank you to my current administration and colleagues who certainly have helped support and certainly helped guide me through and prepare me to achieve my goal of becoming assistant principal at Waterford High School. One thing I can say with complete confidence is I deeply honored, truly humbled, and really excited to be joining a dynamic, vision-guided school district who's really committed to all of its students. I can also say with complete confidence, as we talked a little bit about, Tom and his district-wide leadership team led a very thorough, very rigorous interview search. It certainly tested my perseverance at times, but at the same time it inspired me to embrace it and to really immerse myself in it, because I could see the passion and the vision that Tom and Craig and Andre and others had in taking a great school district and a great school like Waterford High School and wanting to move it forward. I do have some words written down. So, as I said numerous times, and as you just alluded to as well, my educational philosophy is grounded in relationships and student achievement. And in order to be successful at both, it's very important to really get to know the entire school-wide community right away, and that's exactly what I plan to do over the next several months before I officially become a part of Waterford Public Schools. In that mission, I will assist Andre Hauser, the principal, in cultivating a positive and collaborative relationship with the students, the faculty, staff, the parents, the community members, provide the necessary skills for establishing a culture of continuous improvement and really setting high standards and expectations for myself and all stakeholders involved. We will collaboratively work together to improve not only the formal education of students, but the social and emotional aspects as well, as we saw earlier on in the presentation, how we feel about that here. I look forward to and really welcome the opportunity to form a partnership with parents, students, and educators to really make sure that we are truly educating the whole child. That's really important to me. I will strive to foster an environment where students and staff look forward to coming to school each and every day. I can assure you I will bring a great deal of energy, unwavering optimism, and genuine passion to Waterford High School. And I will make decisions that are in the best interest of our students. So, thank you again for this opportunity. I look forward to becoming an integral member of the district-wide leadership team, and I promise you that I will work hard each and every day, like the community members here that are so proud of this community, to ensure that we provide a positive, the best education, and really an environment that students look forward to coming to school each and every day. So with that, thank you very much. I don't know if there's more questions. I'll do my best, but I think you can hear it in the tone of my voice. I take this very seriously. I'm very passionate about it.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have you.
I think that's evidenced by his words. It's going to be a great hire. So, welcome, her. Welcome to his family. He'll be spending a lot of time with us.
Yeah, we should let
Sure.
Would you like
If he wants to go,
Yeah.
That's fine.
They're tough. Anyone come walking home.
Not in this cold, you won't. Okay, now we're down to a first reading of policies. Craig, do you want to take over?
So, the board inquired at the last meeting about, with the new start time, do we revise bylaw 9321, which talks about the train time unless agreed by the majority of the board. And so, because we didn't run this for policy committee, I wanted to give you two versions. The least amount of changes would be one version, which is moving 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Another version could be, in case we ever move forward time again, would be just the second version, 3 hours from the start of the meeting. So I will allow the board to deliberate which version fits better, which is what we would normally do in policy subcommittee, but we'll do the board as a whole. This will be first reading, and January will be your second reading. So as soon as it's
In January, we're supposed to start at 6
done, as soon as you adopt it on January,
Okay.
then the policy becomes live. So that's why we're doing it tonight in January. So I think it will comport to the new start time.
Okay. Any comment or any opinion on what you'd like?
Do we want it to change 2 hours?
Are you serious?
No. I'm just an optimist.
It's the season.
I like the one that keeps it 3 hours.
Yeah, me too.
Makes no sense.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
I like that.
Okay, are we all in unison about that? Okay.
No votes
Talk about
tonight.
it.
And that will bring this one
3
to
hours.
second reading
Yep.
in January. Thank you.
That was quick, Greg. Maybe it will be 3 hours. Okay, discussion and possible action regarding student travel to Italy, Monaco, and France. And that's for the April 2018, and the enclosure within our packet.
So you approved at a previous board meeting a trip to those 3 places in April 2019. The request has been revised by Mr. Cataret and Mr. Brian Ash to reflect in April 2018 visiting less places. So they moved up the date, and instead of Italy, Monaco, and France, it would be just Italy in April 2018. So I didn't feel comfortable approving it without bringing it back to the board.
And that's providing the climate is okay.
Absolutely.
As far as
All the
nothing
contingencies we
tragic
talked about
and,
last time remain.
The only question I had was that, I think it's 9 days and it says the April break, and the April break is only 7 days.
I think including weekends, it's 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they do both. Yeah.
Was it changed because of
No, I didn't.
the coordination and everything left?
I don't know the reason for the change. I didn't ask them.
Kathleen, I'm sorry.
No, but this is run through this tour company, right? Is the EF tour company?
Yes,
yes,
So goes
coordinating
in.
company.
So just to put the board of the, not the board, but anyone listening, that I was impressed that this tour company has 500 entities throughout the world, and so I like that safety feature that was built into the tour. So that was really good. Sorry to see they're not going to France this time, but that'll be 100 people.
I love Italy.
I'm glad to see that they'll be going there, and also that there's an educational piece involved with the trip. I think that's important, that they learn, that they can follow up with that.
Absolutely. Okay, any more discussion on that topic? Do we want a motion?
You do.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So the
Okay, Ann?
Board of Education approves the Waterford High School trip to Italy in April 2018.
Is there a second? Okay, Lisa? Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Okay, now we're down to, this is a good one. Discussion and possible action regarding the letter to State Department of Education recommending enhancements to the SSAC results reporting. Did you want to?
I'd like to make that motion, and that we send a letter to the State Department regarding all the money that they're spending on the SSAC testing, and with the results that they're giving us, some of them are very hard to interpret. The 3 things I'd like to see in the letter are that we not put level 2 with level 3, because level 2 is not above goal, it is not reaching goal, and that so that they should break out all 4 levels, or if they have to group any levels together, group level 2 with level 1. Also, that they should show cohort data, and that they should break out the strands on the district level, so that the teachers can better assess their students, and we can see as a district how we're really doing. Because the information the way it's presented is very hard to interpret, and misleading. I think if enough districts do this, maybe the state will get the idea that they're going to spend all this money on the test. They might as well make it worthwhile, right, so that it's fair.
Agreed.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Min? Okay, any more discussion? Kathleen?
So, who is actually going to put the letter together. And I'm glad that you highlighted the points, and I think there could be some, I hope we can have some movement on it. I think we all agree that, and we talked about in the past, we really enjoyed getting the strand piece to it, but I'm not sure how this, I think it's good to send something up there to be on the record that we'd like to see some improvement on how the test results are, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, we wanted to direct Tom to do it.
Okay.
That's
Happy to do it.
Yeah.
a long way about to ask the question. Who's going to design the letter and bring it forward. I'm happy to do whatever I can.
Okay, thank you.
I would want to CC SBAC National,
Right.
whatever that group is. It is a national test, certainly encouraging the State Department of Education to, again, hopefully we're not the only district writing a letter like this or expressing concern, but I would advocate CCing SBAC National on it, as well as the State Department Head and Commissioner, but I'm happy to draft that on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
This motion.
Yeah.
Then-
Marcia wanted to give them. My contact.
That's the Waterford Board of Education, excuse me, where is it?
Right there.
Director of Superintendent. Right here.
Right here.
All right. That the Waterford Board of Education directs the superintendent to compose a letter on behalf of the board to the State Department of Education recommending the enhancements to the SBAC results reporting.
And then maybe you're going to second that?
I did.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Now, item E, discussion and possible action regarding continued enrollment of current students in attendance at the Friendship School. You wanna talk about that?
Sure. Governing board representatives from the Board of Education met with Dr. Howley. That was, board had directed me previously to set up that meeting. That meeting occurred and that was basically to get an update on where the school stands and the plans moving forward. During the course of that meeting, she asked if the board would consider continuing to pay the tuition for the currently enrolled 3-year-olds. That would be 4-year-olds next year. So that was the request from Dr. Howley for consideration by this board.
Okay, is there any
So
discussion?
do we need a motion and then a discussion on that?
Or did you want us to just discuss it? What would you like?
For possible action.
Greg?
Why would we want to do that?
Why wouldn't we?
Well, we're spending money, and so I don't think the question is why wouldn't we spend money. I think the question is what is the justification for spending the money.
Kathleen?
I will comment on this, and first of all, I'd like to thank the superintendent for initiating that meeting with Learn. I think a number of us feel that this came about quickly. We understand the reasoning behind it, but we think to be fair and equitable across the board that the families that are already there at the Friendship School that have children going forward, we thought that perhaps to allow the town to continue with helping those children that are already there, so that when the year after that we'd have a new set that everybody would be treated and they would know what was expected, because this is changing the way the Friendship School has operated over the last 10 years. The town is always, as you know, there are several entities that contributed to the tuition, and the town always had a role in that, and we had all gotten behind the mission of what preschool education, the worth and the value of preschool education. We still don't know how many children this will impact going forward. I'm very appreciative to Eileen Howley and Learn for working so diligently to try to find a solution going out forward that preschool education in Waterford will still, a number of our families will still be able to attend, so that's the good news. I think it's only fair, myself, and speaking for myself, that we recognize those families, those children that are currently there for the next year. So in other words, the 3-year-olds that are there next year, they'll be 4-year-olds. And that's the group we're talking about tonight. And I think what would be in the number of about 100 students at that. I'd ask Eileen something.
I can give you, we have currently 68 3-year-olds enrolled there. That number has typically bumped up as 4-year-olds, but the request was for the currently enrolled 3-year-olds, which is 68. The tuition per child is $4,053. Certainly, if we want detailed financials, Joe can get into that. You might remember that the state picks up the tab, or has picked up the tab, for families whose income falls below 75% of the state median income. Of the 68, based on trend, about 40 would fall above that state median income. So you're talking somewhere in the range of about $150,000 to $180,000 bill for that. And again, Joe can provide some detailed financials if that was the desire. We have those ready to go.
Okay.
So you're talking essentially 2.5 to 3 teachers, and we struggled when we saw the enrollments rise in our elementary school to find money so that we wouldn't have to exceed our class sizes. We have no state mandate to educate these young people. We made no commitment. It's a benefit that they had for 1 year, no child care. I just don't see how we can allocate those resources when we're so pinched in our budget and we don't know what the future will hold in terms of our other enrollments. I think our money could be better spent meeting our core responsibilities.
Just some considerations. Thank you for your comments on that. We're statutorily required to pay for kindergartners who continue to go there. That's in the neighborhood of about 50. So that's $200,000 just for kindergarten.
But this is pre-K. We're not talking kindergarten.
This is pre-K.
I agree. I'm trying to put the financials into perspective that we're on the hook for $200,000 for kindergartners, and we do need to build in this budget our own in-district pre-K program to service pre-K kids identified for special education. So we will have the cost in this budget of building our own pre-K program to educate students identified with special needs.
But how does educating non-special pre-K children have any impact on that?
We're not statutorily required.
No, but I mean, you talked about, I thought there was a nexus that you were building between doing this.
This is going to be a difficult budget with the uncertainty of state funding and the need to build our own pre-K program in our elementary schools to service students, pre-K kids with special needs. So what I'm saying is there are a variety of financial factors to consider.
Sounds like you're arguing against this.
No, I'm stating facts in that there are many financial considerations in this budget, one of them being the cost of adding in our own pre-K program.
What does the administration recommend?
I think at this point it's very early in the budget cycle to commit $170,000 to burn for 68 students or some portion thereof.
Can we back up for 1 minute? Since I was been on that committee. So let's just recap for a minute. So basically we did the letter to pull out because of the big question mark of the state funding, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
so we kind of pulled out, but now we're saying we want to leave the ones that were already there. Is that what we're looking at?
So
basically
paying for the students who started there.
That are still, yeah.
Correct.
That are 3-year-olds, that would be 4-year-olds.
That's true.
So let them finish out their pre-K, whatever.
Now mind you, they will, whatever way this goes tonight, whether we want to pay for them or not, they will have the opportunity to attend that school. So this would not, the 3-year-olds this year, regardless of what the board decides to do tonight, will have the opportunity to attend the Friendship School next year. It's just a matter of who funds it, whether it's this board, the state, Learn, or the parents themselves. But the students, regardless of what action you take, if any, those students will have a spot next year.
Marcia?
Are we responsible, do we have a program right now for the pre-K guys, the special needs ones?
No, we've designated that through the years to the Friendship School. So we will be building our own program in this year's
What's the
budget.
difference in cost?
We're working on that.
But we did before, we used to have.
First to three, at the high, it used to be housed at the high school.
Okay, so no matter what, we're going to be paying for our special needs.
Correct.
But there are about 40 that are not special needs.
There's many more than that.
Many more than that, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And if we pay for 68 and 70 show up, and we're only paying for 68, what about the two families that weren't there before?
Either Learn will pay, the parents will pay, or the state will pay.
Okay.
The numbers that Tom is talking about is using this year's census of how many families are below the median income and how many families are above the median income. So when Tom says there are 68 total and there's about 40 that we would have to pay for, that's using this year's census because we don't know if anything's going to change for next year, so we'll just stay with the constant of what we know, which is to say if more come in, you would be committing towards paying for the people that are above a median income so that they wouldn't have to pay themselves any tuition.
When we sent letters to all those parents and let them know that we were pulling out, correct? We notified them in some way?
Families are aware. Learn did that.
Learn did that.
Yes.
Somehow they were all notified.
Yeah, but families are really confused. They didn't know what was going on.
They don't
still
know what
don't.
it means to them.
May I say that? So, when this first came to the board, as you recall, and I thought when it came to me that evening when we put it on to the agenda, and I was really under the impression that we were going to have more time without really thinking through that Learn needed to know way in advance so that they could form their budget. So I think that for us as a board, for the last 10 years that and this is a much lower figure that we would be contributing as a town, those families that are already there, it was a big surprise with Learn to find out that our board had made that decision so quickly. I know it was no one's fault. We only had a small window to give. We had the lawyers telling us that we had a year that we had to pull out, but I thought we'd have time. I think I've mentioned to this board several times, can't promise anything, but I think there's maybe some way to look at equity and funding and how the rest schools, how they're treated compared to other magnet schools coming in. So there might be some wiggle room still in funding. But my own self personally, we are going to have a budget going forward. We need to sit down. This board, I think it comes down to whether or not how we, as a board and as a district, feel about educating preschool. Now, we know that lots of discussions have taken place in the past that preschool education is a vital part of education going forward, that we don't know what the aftermath could possibly be if the children we don't know what the figure will be going out of how many families may not use or have preschool education going forward and what that aftermath may be coming in. So I don't like to disagree with you, but I just think that the way this all occurred, the lack of the board being able to really, or the governance board being able to get together and discuss it, it all happened so quickly. I think that Learn was also left in a position, and again, I want to compliment Eileen Howley that she did a fabulous job to try to do what she could to maintain a school as a school and offering preschool education that will go out to other districts now. But I think those families that were already there, it will be new for them going forward. And in my own personal, I think allowing those children that are already there and they've been used to it for, it's something that our board has done for 10 years between the municipal piece, Learn, and the state. I just feel that it's equity. Then you start with an even playing field going forward, then all families would be there and they would know it.
I can understand that. I would just caution, since we haven't reviewed our own budget yet, to make that kind of commitment tonight. That would be my...
I guess it really comes down to, I've always, and I'm speaking just for myself here, but I've always considered the Friendship School as part of the Waterford school system, myself. That's how I look at it, that we have been there in partnership, we brought it forward. It was Waterford that had the idea originally. We've done it. We were very proud to be a district that had an urban-suburban school, and I think there's a lot of positive benefits. I'm pleased that there will still be preschool education in Waterford, but I worry we're not the same town. We talked about it. This is a burden on a lot of the families, and at least give them the opportunity to prepare to see how they will be able to manage. It comes down to how do you value free education, and do you consider it as an important piece to our whole overall budget and district? That's just the way I see it.
We've had a discussion, and in terms of possible action, I would hope that there be a consensus tonight, particularly in light of the administration's recommendation that we take no action tonight, that we defer any possible action to the budget process.
That's what I was thinking too. Marcia, you had to hand it.
Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of Greg that we need to wait until we know what's going on with our budget. And the other thing is that there are a lot of preschools available in Waterford, the whole southeastern Connecticut area. And I know it's nice to have some kids go to the Friendship School, continue to go there, and those parents can opt to do that. I think as long as they've been notified, and many of them are not hardship cases, I think there's been a wonderful boon to the parents who got that free education, and I do believe in preschool education, but I think with our budget situation the way it is and the cuts that we received last year, we have to be very careful about what we're doing with every penny. And I think that we have a lot on our agenda that we want to do in all our programs, and we have a commitment to the kids that are our responsibility. Those kids are not legally our responsibility.
I just have something to say. I mean, I feel that 3 and 4-year-olds are our responsibility. I was really proud of the Friendship School and what it can do. I realize our budget constraints, though, but I'm very upset, most of all, with the state. Not with you, Kathleen, but just the way everything has transpired. I mean, I think the Connecticut Board of Education has been really irresponsible. And, pre-K education, I mean, every time you pick up one of the newsletters or anything, pre-K education is very, very important. And I want our Waterford 3 and 4-year-olds to have the same opportunities as the New London 3 and 4-year-olds. And, unless we can offer it in our schools, but that's going to cost a lot of money, too. But, I really think the 3 and 4-year-olds need a good foundation to get into kindergarten, especially with what's expected of them now. I spoke to Tom about the fact that our federal government released $11.7 million for pre-K education. And guess what? We're not getting a penny of it. And I don't think that's fair at all. I think our 3 and 4-year-olds are entitled to it, just like Bridgeport, New Haven, and Hartford. And, so I called Joe Courtney's office up, and they're looking into that. And I think all of us should take a stand and start calling our elected representatives and let them know, the kids here in this end of the state are just as important as the rest of the state. And pre-K education, I mean, every time you read any of these educational journals, they say how important it is. It gives them a good foundation. And, we're responsible for them, I feel, too. Marcia?
I agree with you that pre-K education is paramount, but I don't think these kids will not get it if we don't fund it. We don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know that for sure, but I think I just have that feeling.
Go ahead, Justin.
Just one last piece, because you actually hit on a topic that I think will be discussed this session, and that's the way that the rec schools, those magnet schools, are treated in comparison to some of the other priority districts, because you're really talking about the same children,
right?
But with a different funding mechanism in place. So I know that what has driven this has been the funding that the state is offering, $7,900, and that's even dropped somewhat now in the rest schools, whereas in some of the other magnet schools it's on the neighborhood of 11, 12, 13,000 per child. So if there's any room or movement on, again, an equity issue, we might be able to come back to the table and have a new beginning of some sort. But for the time being, I just felt that because it was a new way of treating the Friendship School and the parents, that at least allow those that were already in there to have the time to make the plans, to see where they could go. We have a great number, and I'm pleased that you're right, the families that are in the poverty level will have access to the Friendship School, but there are so many that are right there at the cusp that are used to having the experience. So I thought just for the 1 year till they had the time to make the plans. And then we have a large budget. We need to do our work to find out within that budget. So I certainly don't have any problem with tabling this tonight and to have it put through our entire budget discussion.
Is that okay?
Would that be, does this cost include what would you be developing or putting aside money for the other pre-K program as well?
We have to.
We have to.
Yes, we need to budget.
So there's basically, we've got two substantial amounts of money to deal with, and hopefully not impact everything else.
Right. I mean, and that's the key question that we need to make sure that we fund an in-district pre-K program to educate pre-Kers with identified special needs, and that's in the context of the larger budget picture and all the other things, the contractual obligations and fuel and all the things that we'll talk about in January and February and March, and then obviously the consideration of the cost of this, and all under the guise of the fact that the board was cut last year, and that if we commit this money to learn and there's a cut down the road, this isn't an option as a cut. So the cut would come from within the budget of our 5 schools.
And get that great bus contract.
Amanda, did you want to say something?
I was going to ask, and Tom, maybe you know, or Craig, will we be looking at a model which was similar to PrEP years ago? I know one of my own children went through as a typical peer. Could we fold those families into that?
We will have peer role models.
But can we fold those? Can we somehow? I mean, I don't know if that's fair or not.
So we're looking at how we would do a lottery for the non-disabled peers to complement the special ed. So what the PrEP program was before the existence of the Friendship School was, if you had 10 special ed preschoolers, you had then 10 non-disabled peers in that class. And so we will be talking about, having like a 3-year-old classroom, a 4-year-old classroom, similar to what they do at the Friendship School to support the legislative mandate of educating the preschool children with special needs in our district.
Are you looking at one location or several? Because I know years ago it was in one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion on that topic? Craig?
I think as long as we are, I think it's at least committed to taking it seriously and working into the budget process, at least give it a fair evaluation.
Okay.
I will communicate that to Learn. With no motion on the floor.
Okay. Now we need a motion to go into executive session for the anticipated purpose of the agreement between the Waterford Board of Education and Local 1303-209 of Council for AFSCME July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2019, and a confidential student matter. And we want to invite Craig?
You want to invite me, Craig, and Joe in for the contract, and Justin for the student matter.
Okay.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Marcia? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Time left.
I always hear what.